I wanted to make an announcement on this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, do you remember discussing the effect that we're going to make an announcement on this episode?
I do remember that now.
Okay, well, I'm glad you now remember it. I'm Tom Dickinson.
And I'm Louis Midas.
And this is The Cloister Room,
a podcast about Doctor Who and other things.
So I went to see Dark Water and Death in Heaven in theaters.
Oh, yeah. How did that go?
It was interesting.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, well, they forgot to turn the 3D on.
Oh, wow.
So I had to go out of the theater and try to flag down some kind of manager.
I didn't realize 3D was just a thing you could flip on or off.
Yeah, because, I mean, the problem was it was blurry.
Oh.
So it was clearly not... It wasn't in correctly configured 2D, but the 3D was not active. But then they turned it on and it just immediately worked. So, yeah, so, I mean, it wasn't like I was missing anything I hadn't seen before.
Right.
So, yeah. But other than that, I mean...
So were you the only person in the theater, or were you just the only one? You were the only sane man. You were the only one who noticed something was wrong.
No, I mean, other people noticed it was wrong, and they were like, oh, no, this is terrible. And everyone was, like, groaning and like, oh, I can't believe it. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go find someone.
Right. You were...
And I was sitting at the very back of the theater, so I had to walk to the front of the theater, past all of the
complainers who just sat around doing nothing.
Exactly. And it wasn't like it was a full theater or anything. There was maybe 30 people total in it.
I see. Yeah, so you were the only one who took initiative.
Yeah.
Okay. So was it better in 3D?
It was fine. It was like, I always find that I may have even made this exact observation on this show before, possibly even about the last time I saw Doctor Who in 3D at a theater. But I find that like 3D is really interesting and exciting for the first like 10 minutes, and then I just completely forget it's even happening.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know. I feel that way too for the most part, and I don't know if it's like because it's just so immersive that it's sort of you sort of feel like movies have always been this way, and there's anything wrong with it. But also I think like the way they do 3D, or the way they seem to do 3D now, is where it's just like kind of like it's almost like the screen is just like a window that you're peeking out of. Which I think is far better than like when they have things like sort of poke out at you, except that it does make it a little bit more passive, where it's not it's literally not as in your face when the like the I don't know, the depth of field or whatever is just extending out in towards the back of the screen as opposed to like in front of it. So
right.
But yeah. So it almost seems like. So it didn't feel any different, really, I guess.
Well, not really. I mean, there were a couple of actual edits that they made.
Oh, really?
Well, for one thing, they got rid of the Santa Claus thing.
Oh, well, I guess you kind of would.
So it just goes straight to to the Doctor and Clara, saying their goodbyes, and then it goes straight to roll the theme. And then I was wondering, is Santa going to interrupt the theme or is he not?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and also it was the two episodes were edited together.
Oh, interesting.
So it cuts straight from like the cliffhanger where Missy reveals her identity to the scene in the in the office with Clara trying to convince the Cybermen that she's the Doctor.
Huh.
And then there is no second opening title sequence, so there's no opening title gag where it's Jenna Coleman's face in the titles.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. Oh, that's a little disappointing.
It was a little bit, yeah.
Because that was a fun little gag, or whatever you want to call it. Easter egg, maybe. Not really an Easter egg, but yeah, that's kind of a bummer. I mean, obviously they're gonna do what they gotta do to make it, feel more like a single whatever event, I guess. So it's fine.
And it did feel like a single movie.
Yeah, I imagine it would. Yeah, right. Well, and I think that's one of the things we commented on when we were talking about the two-parter was like how it started building kind of slowly in the first half, and so it does. I can see it if it were watched together, in that way. I can see it feeling like a movie where it kind of starts off kind of slow, and you're doing a lot of character development or whatever, and then it sort of kicks into action or whatever. So yeah, I imagine it would feel like a movie, and I imagine it would feel more like a movie doing that. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, and then after the closing credits, there was what they were calling like an exclusive minisode.
Huh.
I don't know how exclusive it was, but I sure saw it. It's called The Doctor's Meditation.
Oh, didn't they put that on some kind of tube?
They may have. I know there were 2 different minisodes preceding The Magician's Apprentice.
Okay. I know
there was this one they called the Series 9 Prologue.
Oh, okay.
Which was set on Karn.
Oh.
Did you happen to see that one?
I did not see that.
Okay. It's pretty good. It's worth watching.
Oh.
And then this thing, The Doctor's Meditation, was set in the medieval setting.
Yeah, I actually saw that somehow. I don't. So yeah, I'm sorry. Wasn't that exclusive?
Yeah, no. Did you go to see this in the theater and just forget the rest of it, but remember that?
Maybe I might have entered like a fugue state around that. Yeah, could have been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. And I just I don't know. Can you do that? I don't think you can nest memories, but I feel like I remember watching it on my phone, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I just have a memory of me watching a thing on my phone, and then I planted, within that, I nested inside of that a memory of me watching, what was it, the Doctor's Meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that could very well be. Maybe I did, but I think it was on. What I might just be making a lot of false memories right now, but I think it was on. I want to say it was on like Daily Motion, or no, was it? I don't know. All these video websites.
Well, Daily Motion was probably a pirated copy then.
It could very well have been. I know it was not on YouTube. I don't know where it was. It could have been.
Well, you saw it.
I saw it. Unless that's also a false memory. I mean, it could be.
No, so there was that, and then they did an exclusive interview with Will Wheaton interviewing Peter Capaldi and Jenna Coleman, which I did not stay to watch.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't care.
Well, right, because I wonder who that's supposed to appeal to. I guess fans of Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
Which you are not, I imagine.
Well, I don't. You know what? I guess. I was going to say, I don't have a particular liking of him, but I actually may have a slight dislike of him.
Oh, really? Just the scale kind of tips that way? Just a tiny bit.
Scale tips very slightly towards dislike, and I don't really know why.
Have you actually seen him in anything? Because you've never watched Star Trek: The Next Generation.
No, I have not. I just know him as someone who's famous for being famous.
Yeah. He definitely is that. Because he's not like, if the only thing you had seen of him was in Star Trek: The Next Generation, which I don't really purport myself to be a Star Trek fan, nor do I even purport myself to have seen all of TNG, because I haven't. But I have seen portions of it, and I've seen portions of it with him in it, and it's not like, because he's like almost a kid. I don't know how.
Isn't he like the Adric?
He is the Adric, actually. Yeah. So if I would say that, like, if I dislike him, and I guess I kind of do, his performance is probably, in the episodes I've seen him in, is probably why. Yeah. So okay, so you didn't stick around for that interview.
No, I just kind of left at that point. And I was not the only one in the theater who left at that point.
Well, yeah, and it's not even like you wouldn't even necessarily have to dislike Will Wheaton. It's just that, like, what could that interview possibly provide you, really?
Yeah, I've seen so many, interviews.
Yeah.
With Doctor Who cast members. At this point, the notion of like, an exclusive interview with Doctor Who cast members, it's like I don't need that in my life.
Yeah, what do they like? Honestly, like, what could they possibly reveal to you that's not, either immediately obvious or like, I don't know, they're just talking about how great it is to work with other actors. I mean, I feel like that's most of the time what an interview turns into is just, oh yeah, this actor was really great and I loved working with them and it was I mean, I don't want to like suggest that like, the film and TV industry is just all this like facade of people trying to be nice to each other. That's not what I guess that is sort of what I'm saying.
I assume that many actors are good to work with.
I imagine so. I imagine that's how they get so much work, is that they are good at what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that stands to reason.
Let's talk about The Magician's Apprentice.
Yeah, let's do that.
How did you like it?
I really did like it.
I'm not sure whether I liked it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Any one major complaint or just a series of small ones?
It's just like a general feeling.
Uh-huh.
It seems very series 6 and 7 to me.
That's kind of a fair complaint.
It's very like A Good Man Goes to War, Wedding of River Song. Mm-hmm. Like, there's just a bunch of unnecessary nonsense thrown in there. Like, I don't know if I ever really needed to meet the Shadow Architect at the Shadow Proclamation ever again. I don't know if that was really necessary.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever needed to see a cantina scene at Dorium's old bar where he isn't even there anymore.
Yeah.
Just all of these things are not. I'm like, I don't find that necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually, it's surprisingly very much like A Good Man Goes to War in that regard. And I think it's weird, though, because it seemed like Series 8 really was going to take a turn where, like, okay, we're going to... Like, that was a big thing, I think, that they sort of advertised when they were promoting Series 8, is they were saying, like, oh, it's... it's different now. It's more slowed down. We can kind of like, settle in or whatever. It's not quite as breakneck speed. But it really does kind of feel like they've sort of just regressed back to that now.
Yeah, I did feel like in Series 8, everything seemed like a little bit more focused and sort of nailed down instead of like this big sprawling, like everything in the universe all at once. This is the Doctor's final day stuff. Which, So, I mean, there were a lot of things I liked about it, but I just, in general, I'm not sure, and I kind of have to reserve judgment until I see the second part of the episode.
Well, yeah, it's kind of the thing is, this is very different in that now we've got nothing but, or I think the confirmed rumor is that there's nothing but two-parters, or very nearly.
I'm not sure. It seems to me like episodes 9 and 10 might be one-parters.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure.
Okay. But we're going to get a lot of this where we're not going to be able to necessarily pass complete judgment on an episode until we've seen its second half. So that's kind of, and that's the thing is I don't know where this is going to go. So it's a little difficult to say. I do think that, I mean, I don't know, they set up a lot of stuff. I think it would have been terrifying to try and cram all of this episode into half of an episode, so I'm glad at least that they're doing two-parters. But I also just don't know. Yeah, it was still kind of like rushed, and I hope that part 2. I don't know. I kind of hope that maybe that the reason that this felt like it was going along at a faster pace is because they are going to have to slow things down for episode 2, maybe, or maybe, I don't know.
Well, I know Moffat tends to have the second part of a two-parter is usually pretty different.
Yeah,
that's one of his signature things.
Yeah,
going all the way back to, I mean, not so much with The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances, but definitely going back to Silence in the Library, where Forest of the Dead was kind of like a sharp turn.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm definitely curious, and like I said, there were a lot of parts of it that I really did enjoy, but like even though I kind of didn't enjoy this aspect of the plot so much, I did really like the man made of snakes.
Yeah, that was a really, really cool and creepy thing. Like that was a really good idea, and I didn't even like. I mean, his face was in the trailer, so you'd kind of already seen like what those lines or whatever. And I don't know if anyone like actually like figured out what that was, but I mean, like I remembered thinking to myself like, oh, that's weird. Why does he get those lines on his face?
Yeah,
and I didn't and so it was, it wasn't until like he came apart and he was like a coiled up snake. I was like, oh wow, yeah, all right. And that was like That was really cool. Like, I mean, that's like a really clever monster design right there.
Yeah, I don't really understand why he's working for Davros.
Yeah, I would like to get more of a backstory on him, I guess. But like, yeah, I have no idea.
Well, I think now that Big Finish has access to the new series stuff, they could give him his entire, like, a spin-off series.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, he can have like an entire like
he's
10 seasons, I'd say.
Oh yeah, he's an entire cast of characters right there.
Oh, exactly. He's a democracy.
Right. All the snakes could have different personalities. I think that, yeah, he's like a one man show.
Yeah.
Only, well, I mean, not really.
He's a mini snake show.
Exactly. But yeah. So I think there's a lot of potential there. Yeah, no, that's one freaky monster. I mean, there were a lot of freaky things in this. I think like the hand mines.
Oh yeah,
those are freaky. I don't know what, like, and then like there were things we didn't even see that just got mentioned, like what was it? Clam drones.
Well, clam drones.
Well, is that a reference to Genesis of the Daleks?
Well, that's got to be, and that was the point where I kind of figured out that this is Skaro.
Right.
And I actually I thought the opening of this episode was excellent. Like, the opening I definitely loved.
Oh yeah.
When we first saw the child, I was like, oh, that's the doctor. I was thinking like, oh, this ties into Listen or something. So I'm like, oh, that's the doctor. And then as soon as the doctor showed up, I was like, oh wait, no, it's Davros. And then I was like, it's Davros. I was saying out loud, like, it's Davros. And then he said he was Davros, and I was like, ha ha, it's Davros. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, and that was even like, I mean, like, I didn't actually, as per usual, I did not figure, I was not thinking along those lines. Well, I actually didn't figure out it was Skaro at first, and so I was a little caught by surprise that it was Davros. Although I wasn't like surprised that it was Davros. I was surprised that the internet was right. That's what I'm usually surprised about, because I do remember reading a theory that it was Davros, or several theories, I guess. I tend to do that where I just stop thinking about those things as soon as the episode starts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the prologue, which is set on Karn, has the doctor mentioning like an old enemy several times with a male pronoun, which I would think would rule out Missy. So right. I was kind of wondering whether Davros was going to be in this season. So by that point, I was, and then there's also the opening. The way everything is shot, like with the foggy battlefield, and it kind of looks a little bit like the opening of Genesis of the Daleks.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And I think the doctor says something very similar, like, "Oh, there's so many different technologies at play here that it must be a very old war."
Oh right, yeah.
I think he said something like that in Genesis of the Daleks.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, I kind of thought it may very well be Skaro.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually really cool how they realized all those different technologies and stuff, like, biplanes that had lasers on them, and then, like, a guy that only had, like, a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was really cool. I don't remember how that was exactly realized in Genesis of the Daleks, but it was really well done here.
Yeah, it seemed a little bit more exotic here, like, where you actually see the different... It kind of shows them off a little more, but, yeah. So I guess those people we saw were Khaleds.
Oh yeah, stands to reason. Yeah, I don't remember the politics of Skaro very much. It was the Khaleds and the
Thals.
Thals, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, and so right, and obviously the Khaleds made the Daleks Davros of the Khaleds made the Daleks because it's an anagram. Mm-hmm. So very clever.
Oh yes.
But yeah, okay, so they'd all be Khaleds because they were all on the same side, basically.
Yes.
Also, were the Thals? It's the Thals are like, oh no, wait, no, it was there were like mutants too, or were the mutants the Thals? I can't remember.
I think the Mutos were diseased Khaleds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Now I remember. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and so it's not clear the hand mines like. Is that like a Khaled thing or a Thal thing, or is it just like a Muto thing? I don't even know.
It could very well be, because it seems like the Khaleds and the Thals are kind of engaging in like traditional warfare where they're just using whatever different technologies and stuff. Like, and the hand mines seem like a little bit too organic.
Yeah.
Like it seems like it would be kind of like something that the Mutos might be using. So I kind of wonder if that might be the case.
Yeah, so they're like this third faction that's like full of, just completely chaotic, just messing everyone else's stuff up and sending out hand mines and clam drones.
Yeah.
What did you think of Davros? The older Davros.
I know he's dying, but I really wish he would speak up.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to hear his dialogue so much. But I mean, I think I don't know. It's always interesting to bring him back, and so like I'm interested to see but Davros is another kind of character who's like he's never really gonna die, I don't think. And I mean, I guess so. I guess it's interesting to see him dying, but I feel like if he does in fact die here, or if that's, I don't know, is that like maybe that was part of the trap? I don't know. No, but he does actually seem like he's dying. So
he does, yeah.
So I don't know,
and there's not even an attempt to explain how he survived Journey's End.
yeah, but that seems like that's kind of the thing, similar to how the Master always comes back. It doesn't seem like it's always really explained how Davros comes back either.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be.
Nah. But yeah, so yeah, he definitely survived that somehow. It was the same actor, right?
It was Julian Bleach.
Okay.
It was interesting though because it's definitely a different like mask.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like to me like Journey's End had much more like elaborate and probably more expensive prosthetics, whereas this seems to have regressed to more just like a standard classic series style rubber mask.
Yeah.
And it didn't look as impressive, I thought.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me. I was like, oh, that's interesting. They're kind of being a little bit more classic here. And he's like leaning on his hand, so the mask barely moves. And yeah, I thought it was a very, very strange that they did that, but it was interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it does. I mean, and that could just be like they're trying to emphasize, well, he's old and decrepit, and his face muscles are not what they used to be.
Oh yeah.
So I guess that could
Whose
be.
are these days?
I know it's always the face muscles that are the first to go, I think. But yeah. So I mean, it could very well be that maybe they just wanted to emphasize that he's older. But yeah, it does seem like it's not quite, because like that's the thing is like the Davros in Journey's End is like super animated, and he's like shouting and just really going all at it, so he's much more subdued here. So
like he's heavily medicated, probably.
Yeah, probably.
I do hope he kind of wakes up a little bit in the next episode, because I'd like to see a little bit more.
Yeah,
activity.
Yeah, because I really did like his performance in Journey's End. So I would love to see more of that. But
yeah, my preferred Davros is Terry Malloy, who did a few of the classic series stories, but has also done pretty much all of his Big Finish audio appearances.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I thought he was really good in Davros, which we listened to.
Right.
As well as he did a 4-part miniseries called I, Davros.
Oh, right.
Which is like the biography of Davros from childhood to the creation of the Daleks.
So how much of that does this step on and like obliterate?
It doesn't directly contradict anything.
Oh, good.
Because it starts with him more like a preteen.
Oh, okay.
I believe. So this is like even a little bit younger. And the way things start out in I, Davros, he's like a child of privilege. Like he's the son of a politician and a highly ranking military officer. And he's kind of like this arrogant sociopath. So personality wise, he's not too similar to like the little boy we see here, but I don't know. It could be made to fit, depending on what happens next week.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can make a lot of things to fit, I think. The Doctor Who's good that way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I was thinking about that. I was thinking, that was one of the first things I thought was like, oh, I know that Big Finish has done things with a young Davros. I kind of like secretly hoped that like I really hope this isn't destroying anything, because I don't want it to. I mean, obviously as the show continues, they're gonna cover things that Big Finish has covered. I'm assuming. I guess maybe not, but there are going to be instances of it, and I kind of hope that it doesn't destroy anything.
Yeah, if I were Moffat, probably what I would do is I'd write the story I wanted to write, and then I'd give an intern for the 4 discs of I, Davros and say, listen to this, tell me if there are any contradictions, and if they can be easily fixed with a line or two, then I'll fix them. But if they're, if it's too much work, then I'll just forget about it. That's probably what I would have done.
Yeah, no, that seems like a good strategy. I think that that's what interns are for, is to waste their time doing things you can't be bothered to.
Right. Because I don't know if he's ever listened to I, Davros.
Right. Well, he has in the past expressed some level of familiarity with at least some of Big Finish's stuff, right?
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So it's possible.
It is possible, yeah.
It's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, and it seems like the Doctor Who, both the stars of it and some of the writers do a lot more publicity and traveling. So he might have a lot of long plane flights and train rides and stuff. So
yeah,
so maybe he does. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very listenable. Whatever, when you're forced to sit somewhere.
Yeah. So what do you think of the Doctor holding a gun to Davros?
That's the thing is, I am so interested in what's going to happen next week, because this is sort of him revisiting basically the decision he made in Genesis of the Daleks, which obviously they very heavily lean on that, even showing a clip of the Fourth Doctor. For him to kill, Davros really makes the most sense. If it's, knowing the Doctor, he's going to find some way around it. I don't think he's going to actually kill Davros, I don't think the episode will end with him having killed Davros. That doesn't mean that, in the first 5 minutes of next week, that he won't do it and then face very serious consequences and then rewrite time over again.
Well, do you remember my theory?
I don't.
For this season?
Right. That that each second half is like a mirror image or whatever of the first one.
And that each 2-parter will actually be set in an alternate universe,
right?
In 2 different alternate universes,
right.
And I was wondering whether I might have been on the right track, because if the Doctor does change history in some way, mm-hmm. I wonder whether we might see what happens in the history as he changed it, and see what happens in the history as it's unchanged, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's kind of the thing is, I almost wonder. Yeah, because if you want to boil it down, what we basically see this week is we see the repercussions of the Doctor just abandoning Davros, and so next week could be that same thing where the Doctor meets Davros, but now he kills him instead, and so I think that if they went and did that and explored that, I think that'd be really something. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, although I have a feeling that the cliffhanger, not everything isn't as it seems. The Doctor has no actual intention of killing Davros. He's going to kidnap him, or he's going to shoot the hand mines, or he's something like that. Yeah,
that seems. That does seem more the Doctor's speed, is that he's going to, in the Time of Angels when he has his gun and he, and in the trailer, he's given that speech about don't put me in a trap or whatever, and mm-hmm. And then he shoots the gun, and then obviously in the actual episode you see him shoot the gravity globe, and that's the thing. And so I imagine that he's once again going to use a weapon to do something unweapon-like. He's going to just turn off the lights again, or something. I don't know,
something like that.
Yeah, I suspect that's. I think you're probably right. I think that's probably going to be how it goes down.
But I also wonder how he got there.
Well, yeah, right. Because, I don't know. He must have used a vortex manipulator, right?
Oh, yeah. Because the TARDIS has apparently been destroyed.
Right.
So I presume he may have done that. And that's also, I think that's also how Missy and Clara will have survived.
Right.
Because Missy does give Clara a vortex manipulator and mention that it's slave to hers.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing where, it's got to come back in part 2 in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing is, obviously Missy and Clara aren't dead. obviously. So even like, and I kind of wondered if the Daleks might have known something was up, because I mean their bodies do like disappear, and that's not usual, I think, for exterminating. Although,
well, maximum extermination.
Right. What is maximum? Like, yeah, is that like where it sort of like in addition to exterminating them, it also cleans it up so that there's no body left behind, so there's no mess to clean up?
Well, it could be like a way of preventing regeneration or something.
Oh yeah, could be. That, yeah, being atomized most certainly would prevent regeneration, I think.
You know, if 3 shots to each heart and 2 to the brainstem does it, then
yeah,
being atomized would probably suffice.
Yeah, so obviously they're not dead, and so they're going to have... So do you think this is do you think this will be sort of kind of like the Pandorica opens / the Big Bang, in that next week we're going to see perhaps a liberal use of the vortex manipulator?
It could be. I mean, that'd be interesting, because as we discussed pretty recently, that was something I really liked.
Yeah. I don't know how well it would be to do it again, but yeah, actually, that's, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess we could like freeze frame that last scene in this week's episode and see if he does have a vortex manipulator somewhere on his person, but I don't know if do you have to wear a vortex manipulator on your wrist? Can you like put it on like your ankle if it's
I don't know.
If it's more convenient?
You'd think it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, you're still manipulating the vortex around you, I imagine.
Yeah.
So it can't be wrist based.
No.
That'd be an odd limitation to have for
it would. I don't know why anyone would design a system like that.
I really like Michelle Gomez's portrayal of the Master. I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree. I am 100% on board with it.
Yeah. So I like she's back. I like that she gives zero explanation, and she actually glosses over it, saying that like, oh yeah, just death is for other people. Basically just saying like, it's kind of just saying like, yeah, the writers are going to bring me back no matter what. So just forget trying to find an explanation.
Yeah.
Which I
she got so much good dialogue too.
Yeah, she really did. Yeah.
I almost kind of wish we'd gotten more of like her and Clara, because that's like, I don't know. I just thought they made for like an interesting, like having Clara is almost like her companion instead of the Doctor's. And it's a kind of an interesting change up to the dynamic, and I thought it would be cool to see more of that, but maybe we will next week.
Right, because there's that scene where Clara and Missy are locked in that, it's not a cell, but it's the waiting room, I guess. Together, and they're kind of they're basically doing what Clara and the Doctor would have done. They're like, they escape and explore. But it's so interesting to see the Master do it, because she's doing it in a much different way than the Doctor would.
Right.
Or well, not even like not that like the things she's doing are different, but like the way she's going about it, like scaring the crap out of Clara by saying, oh yeah, let's just open up the airlock and kill us both. That's very different. But I do like that, because I mean, and it sort of shows you that the Doctor and Missy are really on the same level. In terms of problem solving and stuff, because sometimes you sort of forget, maybe not so much in the new series, but certainly in the classic series, at least I forget that the Master really is pretty smart. I mean, in the classic series, he's coming up with like a lot of goofy plans and stuff, and so and because of how goofy those plans are, it almost seems like the Master is not nearly as smart as the Doctor. But here you can sort of see like, oh yeah, no, she's definitely on par in terms of just intellectual thought or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, she's supposed to be his equal.
Yeah,
and this, I mean, she fills his role, as well as he would.
Right.
I guess, but
right, and that's the thing, is like, as he's leaving the room, all he says to her is gravity, and then from that she agrees and is like, yep. Now we're gonna go explore, because we're on the same wavelength there. Mm-hmm. We both think this is weird. Let's go. Come on, Clara. Let's go explore. I really like seeing that. And it's weird. It's so weird, but it makes so much sense that the Doctor and the Master really are friends, and that's something that's emphasized here. That like, I think it's weird that she says that she is the Doctor's best friend, but it does kind of make sense, and it almost makes sense in how alien it is, in that, Time Lords might not necessarily, Time Lord friendship might be a little bit more complicated than human friendship, and this certainly does seem more complicated, and she even says that it's more complicated, but I don't know, I like that idea though for some reason. I just like the thought of them actually being friends, even though like they butt heads so much.
Yeah, well, I mean, and she is pretty murderous.
That's true.
But,
that's one point that they really disagree on.
It kind of fits, it fits in with the TV movie, where, regardless of the fact that the Master is his enemy, the Doctor still takes it upon himself to retrieve the Master's remains and bring them back to Gallifrey from Skaro.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So it's like the whole notion that and it also it's surrounding death. So like the notion that presumably in that instance maybe the Doctor got like a Time Lord last will and testament from the Master in that scenario. Oh, yeah. For all we know.
Yeah, could be. I mean, they do sort of have that relationship where it seems that way, So yeah, I don't know. I do really like it. I think it's really interesting. It's an interesting direction to take the Master in, I think. So I like that. I like it. I like it more than, I don't know. Well, I kind of like it more than the relationship between the Sim Master and David Tennant. Just a little bit, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I always really like the Sim Master, but I do think I don't know. I tend to think of them as like, well, they're supposed to be expressions of the same thing.
Yeah.
And so is like the relationship between, Pertwee and Delgado.
Right.
It should all be like one big thing that we see expressed in different ways.
Right.
That's how I like to think of it. So I don't want to compare them.
Oh, yeah, no, that wouldn't be fair.
but I do like the Sim Master a lot, but I do think I probably like Missy better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do think that the Sim Master is very good, but I don't know. I'm kind of glad we're over the drum, the
drum
drums,
beats.
Yeah, the sound of drums or whatever. Yeah, I'm glad we're kind of past that, because I mean it was fine for a while, but I think it's done.
So I got a question for you.
All right,
who is the Magician's Apprentice?
I was wondering that myself. Because I mean, is it supposed to be Clara? Because it doesn't seem like it's Clara. I mean, could it be Davros?
Or Davros could be the magician and the snake guy could be the apprentice. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Or, I mean, it could be, like, what's his name? The Doctor's friend from medieval times?
It does seem that way. It's because, he does call him the magician.
Yeah.
So I think, that makes the most sense, But he turns out to be one of those Dalek things.
Yeah, so for some reason.
So he's not a very good apprentice.
No. Because Moffat does sometimes, he'll, like, come up with a title to sort of mislead you.
Yeah.
And I think he likes to do it with premieres. Like, for instance, I can think of The Bells of St. John and Let's Kill Hitler. Mm-hmm. Both of which were, I mean, neither of those is actually a series premiere, but they were both like the first episode after a while away.
Yeah.
So like you're gonna find the title out early, so you're gonna have plenty of time to mull it over in your head. And in both of those cases, the title doesn't have that much to do with the episode, but at least it does have something to do with both of those.
Yeah, that's true.
And in this case, I honestly can't think of anything. Maybe it'll become clearer next week. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because next week's gonna have a different title. So then when do we find out what that title means? But yeah. I mean, this episode didn't really do a lot to reveal, unless it's like ironic or there's some kind of like hidden metaphor that like maybe the whole thing is that he doesn't have an apprentice, or I don't know. I don't know.
Well, it could be like The Long Game, where the title of that episode doesn't make any sense at all until the end of the season.
Oh, well, that's a good point. Yeah. So I guess as long as we have the answer by the end of this series, I guess we're okay.
Unless it's a longer game.
It could be. Could be the longest game.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
I think it is probably exciting. Yeah, it's such a weird title. I don't know. I mean, yeah, obviously, the Doctor is the magician in question, or maybe that's supposed to be a red herring. Maybe the Doctor is not the magician.
Yeah, I mean, from when I first heard the title, I assumed it was supposed to be the Doctor.
Yeah.
And the Doctor is called magician a couple times in Last Christmas as well, isn't he?
I think so. And wasn't he? Didn't he also say something about his costume being like a magician in the bank robbing episode? Whatever it was.
Time Heist?
Time Heist, yeah. I think in Time Heist he does say that.
He may have, yeah.
I think that's something he says towards the end. But yeah, so I mean, they've leaned on that pretty hard, that he's magician-like. So it really does stand to reason that he is the magician in question. But I mean, that could have all been done so that this title would be a red herring. I don't know. I guess you could call Davros a magician. I mean, he does like... What's the difference between a magician and a wizard? It's the idea is that, you know, a magician is just doing fake magic, but a wizard is doing real magic.
Yeah, I mean, a magician is usually like the term that's used for the profession of doing magic shows.
Right.
Whereas a wizard is like a non-existent fantasy man who makes magics happen.
Magics with a K?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. So who here is, because like, I mean, I don't think Davros would be a magician. I think Davros, if anything, would be a wizard, because he actually did kind of like, well, I mean, you know, it's kind of like a terrible magic that he created the Daleks, but that's kind of a magic, you know, it's magical to create something so terrible.
I guess so. It's dark magic.
It is.
He is the Dark Lord of Skaro.
He is the. I was wondering if they were trying to go with a kind of like Voldemort vibe there, like.
Well, they succeeded.
Yeah. Has he? I mean, he's never really been called, at least as far as I know, he's never really been called a Dark Lord before.
No, that's definitely new.
Yeah. So that seems a little weird to me. I don't know if I would classify him as a Dark Lord. I mean, doesn't Lord kind of. And I mean, I guess I could be just trying to draw a parallel between like a Time Lord, but like I thought lords were kind of like that was more like of a title, kind of a like nobility almost,
or like a Sith Lord.
Right? Yeah, that too. Yeah, Sith Lords are. I don't know that much about the Star Wars EU. Sith Lords aren't noble. That's not like a.
Well, none of it's canon. The EU is no longer canon, so it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, they could be anything for all we know.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of a big blanket statement though, like, because I mean, you know, episodes 7 through 9 aren't gonna like cover literally everything that the EU has ever touched before. So like there are gonna be pockets. I mean, yeah, I mean, I imagine this is off topic, but I imagine that, you know, it is gonna overwrite some stuff that you know, the stuff that happens after Return of the Jedi, but like it's not gonna. I can't imagine it's gonna touch upon every bit of EU that like, so well, there's gonna be pockets.
They're also making other movies though.
Oh right.
Like for instance, the second movie that they're making is called Rogue One, which is a prequel to Star Wars: A New Hope, about the stealing of the Death Star plans, which is something that the EU had already done multiple contradictory versions of. Like there was a joke once that one of the guys who writes articles about Star Wars continuity for the official Star Wars magazine once wrote something. It was like, if you were going to throw a dinner party for the people who had stolen the Death Star plans, you'd be surprised how many table settings you'd have to make.
Oh wow, yeah. So okay, yeah. So that stuff obviously will now be rendered uncanon. But I mean, like, there's going to be a lot of stuff that they would never make a movie out of. Well,
they might do like an ancient, you know, Knights of the Old Republic contradicting thing.
But like I mean, you know, there's going to be like isolated stories. Like, you know, do you think they're really going to make a movie out of, or make a movie that contradicts the plot of Death Troopers?
No, but I mean, they have officially declared it to be non-canon, though.
Right, but what I'm saying is that, you know.
They might make a new novel that contradicts it, though.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. So they are making. They're going to make more expanded universe that is canon.
But yeah, well, they're not calling it the expanded universe because it's all just canon now.
Oh, it is. Okay.
They're claiming that it's all going to be just canon. They're all equal on the same level.
I think this is going to cause problems later on.
Oh, of course.
I think this is what happens when you try to implement a new system. because you said like, well, the old system just got too convoluted and full of spaghetti code, and it's a mess. So let's just like chuck it all out and come and introduce this new system that's going to be perfect. It always seems great for a bit, and then it starts falling apart again. And then you're right back where you started again.
Well, one of the problems with the old canon was the amount of stuff that was supposed to happen in, like, the month after Star Wars A New Hope. From, like, the Marvel comics from 1978 all the way up through the comic series made by Dark Horse in 2012 that was just called Star Wars, which was set during that time period. It was like there were more days than there possibly could have been. Like, so much stuff happened. And now all of that's no longer canon.
Okay.
And now what they're doing, they're just shoving more crap in there. There's like 3 new comic series, one called Star Wars, one called Princess Leia, and one called Darth Vader.
Wow.
That are set during that period. Plus there's books that are set during that period now, and they're just causing the same problems all over again. It's like you clean your room and then it's messy again 2 days later.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. I think they're trying to solve a problem in the same way that the first problem got started. So it's nice that Doctor Who just doesn't have a canon, or just everything's canon.
No, yeah. So if you just want to hand out the title Dark Lord Ascaro, I mean, there's no reason not to.
Yeah, I think you can do that. Well, and it's not like Ascaro had a previous Dark Lord that you now are overwriting. Or is there?
Maybe it did. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be somewhere in a Doctor Who novel that there is an established Dark Lord of Skaro.
Or just one of those Dalek books or whatever. Because there was lots of like Dalek specific. There's a thing, I think it was called the Dalek Handbook, which was just like information about Daleks and their home planet.
Huh.
And that was what introduced the fact that on Skaro there was a continent called Darren.
That's right. Oh man, I love that.
Maybe Darren was the name of a previous Dark Lord of Skaro.
Yeah,
Dark Lord Darren.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's how you do it. That's how you get a continent named after you, is by being Dark Lord. Mm-hmm. Because you can't do that by being, like, the Light Lord or whatever.
No. Yeah, in past Doctor Who seasons, there's been a lot of, like, the beginning of the season has some mystery, and then everyone's like, is it the Master? Is it Davros? Is it what? But no, it's just Davros. Within like 2 minutes of the episode starting, it's very clear that it's Davros.
Yeah.
It's kind of refreshing, I found.
Yeah, I do kind of like that there's no, like, because, yeah, in basically every series, I mean, like, Series 5, there's the cracks, Series 6, there's the silence, in Series 7, just who even knows. But yeah, I mean, here, yeah, there's no lingering mystery, really. I mean, like, we're kind of just thrown into the action here, and we're kind of given all of the information up front, and I do like that. I don't know, it's not like it made it any less exciting or, any less mysterious or whatever. Like, I'm still really interested to see what happens next week. So, I mean, and it's not like if I hadn't known that this was Davros, it's not like that would have helped. So no, I think this is good. I think transparency is good.
Yeah, I think there was something Moffat said in an interview or something where he said that his intention with this opening 2-parter was to just like, well, what happens if we just skip straight to the finale? Like, because the intention was to just do a finale, do a 2-part finale as the season opener. And it does feel like the first part of a 2-part finale to me. Right.
Yeah, it really does.
Like the last time we had an opening 2-parter was Series 6, and that didn't feel like a finale.
No.
But this kind of does.
Yeah, because Series 6 just introduced so many stupid mysteries. I mean, there was like, what's up with the silence? Why are they doing what they're doing? Well, yeah, in the first part, we got basically nothing on the silence. There's, what's up with the silence? What's up with, Eye Patch Lady? Because we didn't have a name for her yet. It was so frustrating. And it wasn't, I don't know if it made for an enjoyable experience. I mean, I know it was different at the time, but I mean, it just, yeah, I'm glad this is not that. Because I think it would have been annoying to get more of the, like, okay, well, let's just drop all these mysteries on you and we'll sort them all out later. Like, I don't want more of that at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing here is that's driving it forward is like, what will the consequences be?
Right.
Of the stuff that we already know, and we do already know a lot.
Yeah, yeah, and that's good. I think it's interesting. Consequences are a mystery. That's a fine mystery to have. You don't have to make up. You don't have to make up a strange woman wearing an eye patch just to have mystery.
No,
that's not necessary at all. But yeah, so yeah, I do like this. I do like seeing this. I think this is interesting.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed it, but I also kind of, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, because I do need to see where this is going, because my opinion is kind of unsettled.
Yeah, well, I that's the thing is, I do think, part 2 could really make or break this. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say if this is genius or if it's terrible. I mean, I'm certainly excited to see what happens, and so I guess if that was the intention of this episode, was just to get me excited for part 2, then it worked. But yeah, if part 2 really drops the ball, then I'm going to be upset at this episode for getting me so excited, because it was all a lie. So yeah, I think we'll have to wait and see. Is the final message here?
Wait and see.
Yep.
I mean, how do you feel about Unit?
I liked him. I do always like seeing Unit, and I like being reminded that they're out there. But they did like barely get any screen time. I mean, it was basically, and this was, I think, another part to like the breakneck speed of it, where it's another thing, like kind of like where in the Pandorica opens, where you get like a handoff. It's a little bit different in this case, but like Clara has to go through a bunch of people just to get to the doctor again. Mm-hmm. And so Unit was obviously just like one link in that chain,
right?
And so I guess it's fine, but I do wish, I don't know.
There's probably a version of this story that could have worked without them. Like I felt like they were a bit superfluous.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because there's no reason. I mean, like the whole planes stopping thing, that was pretty much pointless. It was just like Missy showing off to get everyone's attention. No, well, I don't know. I guess the Master has never been direct, in anything. So I guess it kind of makes sense that she'd do something this convoluted just to get Clara's attention. So I guess, but I don't think it had to be Unit. I don't think Unit had to be involved necessarily.
Oh well.
Yeah. I don't know, because I do like seeing the character of Kate Stewart. So I like it's kind of a shame that she got maybe like 3 lines or whatever, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I kind of wish that she had either been more involved or just not involved at all. Because don't tease me with like a character I like and then just have them whisked away. That's not fair.
Well, maybe she'll be in next week's episode more. I don't know.
Could be. Yeah, I guess we'll find out. But I do like hearing about Unit every now and again, just so we can know that they're out there.
Yeah, it's good to know someone's out there watching out for us.
That's right.
So basically, the announcement that has to be made at the end of this episode is that this show that we're making right now, not specifically this episode, but well, yeah, this episode is ending, and so is the Cloister Room, the podcast.
Yeah.
So the plan is to continue doing this entire season, and then the last episode. The plan is that the last episode will be the one where we talk about the Christmas special.
Yep, that is the plan.
Well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if I need to say more than that.
I don't think so. I mean, we could get all like nostalgic for the good old days or whatever when we started this thing. But maybe we should save that for the final episode.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of time for that. But yeah. I guess, yeah. I mean, I will say, however, that this has been planned for quite a long time now.
Yes.
Quite a long time.
Yes.
This has been the plan since the beginning.
To end it, yeah. Well, I mean, everything is finite.
Well, yeah. The plan since the very beginning was that we would continue through the end of Series 8. But no. Yeah. I don't know if I want to say more in the podcast about the podcast ending.
It's too meta, I think.
Is it?
I don't know. Is it? I mean,
Yeah, I just felt like it's time, or it will be time.
It will have been time.
Yes, it will have been time by Christmas.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree on that, can't we?
I think so.
All right.
That'll be. I'm trying to figure out. I mean, it's very simple. It's a very simple math thing. I don't remember what number our last episode will be, but it's got to be close to, what is it, 140 or something?
Well, I guess it depends on whether we go off the schedule.
Oh, yeah.
But it looks to me like the last episode is going to be 143.
Okay, that's a good.
That's
number.
a lot of episodes.
That is a lot of episodes.
And 143 is a good round number.
It is a good round number. I like it. I think it's. I think it's a very good number. It's got 3 digits and they're all different. I think that's a very good thing. Is, you could end on like a big number like 150, but I think 143 is like just it's close to 150, but it's like just a little bit unique.
I feel like we don't even need to do 150.
No,
we can say it all on 143.
That's right, listeners. You've gotten 150 episodes worth of content in only 143. That's what we have done. That's the great service we have provided to you.
That's absolutely true. I also like that the digits are non-sequential.
Exactly.
It's not like 189. It's not like 257.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's also, is 143 a prime number?
It might be prime.
For all we know, it's prime.
It is ostensibly prime.
It could be.
Is there a term? I really want there to be a term for numbers that are not prime but sound like they could be.
Yeah,
like
it's
fake prime. Frime.
Yeah, it's a prime.
It's a prime number.
143 is divisible by 11.
Oh, of course it is. Oh well. So
that's good. That's good in and of itself, isn't it? It's 11 times 13 is 143.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and you know what number comes in between 11 and 13? 12, and it's the 12th Doctor.
And the 11th Doctor was really the 13th Doctor.
That's right. There's so much meaning here. I think that 143 is the best number for this.
Yeah, I'd say that we're ending the show mainly for reasons of numerology.
Yeah, this show could go on forever, but I think number wise, it'll never be as good as 143.
Yeah, so episodes 129 through 140, that's going to be the current season, or series, as it were. And then episode 141 is going to be a discussion of the Mind Robber, which is already in the can, but is being held back for months. It's aging to a fine vintage.
That's right. You don't want to get these things too young.
So on the off chance that the Master of the Land of Fiction is the overarching villain of this season, that discussion is probably not going to be quite right because, it'll still be fine.
Yeah,
but
it'll just sound weird that we don't know it.
Yeah.
That makes sense too. I bet the Master of the Land of Fiction is the Magician's Apprentice.
Ooh, he could very well be.
Yeah, I bet it is. Now that I'm saying it out loud, it's got to be.
Yeah, anyhow. And then episode 142 is going to be about The Force Awakens, which is a Star Wars.
It is a Star Wars. And we've talked about Star Wars before, but it's been a while. Well, actually, no, we just talked about it maybe 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But
that's a while.
Yeah.
It's surprising. We don't talk about it as much as some Doctor Who podcasts do.
Really? Is that a thing?
Radio Free Scaro brings it up quite a bit.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. And then lastly, it'll be Doctor Who Christmas 2015 and maybe Sherlock. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because Sherlock is supposed to have a Christmas special.
That's right.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So we might at least mention it.
I think it might be worth it to mention. At the very least. Yeah.
So the show is going to end at the end of 2015, and then in 2016, who knows what'll happen?
Who knows?
Who can say what the future holds?
I know that I can't.
Well, I could try, but I don't know if it'd be right.
Well, that's the thing. You never know until it's here.
That's the thing with futures.
That's how they work.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right. I'm excited for our last season review. This is the last season we'll be going through.
Yeah, I think
as part of the show.
Yep.
Or presumably any other show.
Yeah, I think it stands to reason.
Yeah. Well, okay. I guess I will. I guess we'll have to be back next week to talk about The Witch's Familiar.
Yeah, we will have to do that.